I knocked on room 847 at the Fontainebleau Miami Beach. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Friday night, the kind of hour when hotel hallways go quiet except for distant elevators and muted laughter behind closed doors. My wife believed I was 1,200 miles away in Chicago, buried in a work conference, probably sitting under fluorescent lights pretending to care about quarterly projections. Instead, I had boarded a red-eye without telling her, landed just a few hours earlier, taken an Uber straight from the airport, and walked into this hallway carrying a dozen roses and a chilled bottle of champagne. A surprise anniversary trip. A grand romantic gesture. The sort of thing people imagine fixes distance, repairs silence, restarts something that once felt unbreakable. I stood there, adjusting my grip on the flowers, rehearsing the smile I planned to give her when she opened the door, telling myself this was the moment everything would turn around. The door opened, but it wasn't my wife standing there. It was a man in his mid-30s, shirtless, hotel robe hanging loose around his shoulders, a champagne flute balanced casually in his hand, like he belonged exactly where he was. He looked at me, I looked at him. For several long seconds, neither of us spoke. The air between us felt heavy, dense with understanding neither of us wanted to acknowledge first. Then, from deeper inside the suite, I heard her voice, warm, relaxed, intimate. "Babe, who is it?" "Babe!" The word echoed louder than any shout could have. The man's expression shifted instantly, confusion collapsing into panic. His fingers tightened around the glass. He began, but I didn't wait. I pushed past him and stepped into the suite, and the moment I crossed the threshold, everything became clear without a single explanation. Rose petals scattered across the floor, candles burning low along the edges of the room, an open suitcase near the couch with his clothes mixed carelessly among hers, 2 champagne flutes on the table, evidence not hidden, just assumed safe. My wife appeared from the bedroom, wrapped in a hotel robe, damp hair falling around her shoulders. She stopped when she saw me, every trace of color draining from her face. The roses slipped from my hand and scattered across the polished marble floor. "Marcus," she whispered, my name breaking apart in her throat. "Happy anniversary," I said. If you want to know what happened in the next 60 seconds and why the man in that room ended up begging me for mercy, hit subscribe, because this story doesn't end with me walking away broken. It ends with me walking away rich. My name is Marcus Webb. I'm 39 years old and I live in Chicago. For the past 12 years, I've worked as a senior systems architect for a Fortune 500 technology company, the kind of position that looks impressive on paper and pays well enough to build a comfortable life. My wife, Vanessa, is 37. We met in college, married at 26, and spent 13 years constructing what I believed was a stable, lasting partnership. A 2-bedroom condo in Lincoln Park, weekend brunch reservations, couples yoga on Thursdays. From the outside, we appeared balanced, successful, settled. From the inside, subtle fractures had been forming long before I acknowledged them. Vanessa worked in pharmaceutical sales, a demanding career filled with travel, conferences, and client dinners. I respected the pressure she was under and trusted her without hesitation. But about 6 months earlier, something changed. Her wardrobe for work trips became noticeably different, less professional, more intimate. New perfume appeared, new lingerie that never made its way into our home routine. Her phone, once left casually on the kitchen counter, became something she guarded closely, always within reach, always face down. One morning over coffee, she announced a girls' trip to Miami. "Rachel and I are going for a long weekend. We need it." Rachel was her college roommate, someone I had met a few times over the years. "When?" I asked. "April 14th through 17th, she said. I nodded and told her it sounded like a good idea. She asked if I minded. I told her she deserved the break. She kissed my cheek and thanked me, but something unsettled me, a quiet discomfort I couldn't explain. April 14th marked our anniversary. I waited for her to mention it. She never did. The night before she left, I brought it up casually while she packed. "You realize the 15th is our anniversary, right?" She glanced up briefly and acknowledged it, then said we could celebrate after she returned, maybe try a new restaurant. The casual dismissal stung more than anger would have. 13 years together reduced to a scheduling inconvenience. That moment planted a certainty I couldn't ignore. Something wasn't right. I began noticing details I would have overlooked before. She texted someone named Rachel constantly, at dinner, in bed, first thing in the morning. One night while she showered, her phone buzzed beside me. The message preview appeared. "Rachel, can't wait for Miami, it's been too long." It seemed harmless until I remembered her actual contact for Rachel included a last initial. This one did not. I opened the conversation. The tone wasn't explicit, but unmistakably personal. "Counting down the days. Miss you. Booked the suite, ocean view like you wanted." Then a message that erased all doubt. "He has no idea. Let's keep it that way." I took screenshots, forwarded them to myself, and replaced the phone exactly where I found it. When she returned from the shower, I pretended to read while she climbed into bed and told me she loved me. I said it back, because at that moment, I still meant it, even while realizing she didn't. The next morning, I helped her load her suitcase into the Uber. I told her to have fun and be safe. She told me she'd miss me. I watched the car disappear, then went inside and booked a flight to Miami. I wasn't going to argue through a phone. I wasn't going to wait for uncertainty. I needed certainty. I contacted my boss, claimed a family emergency, packed lightly, and accessed our shared phone account. Her location services were still active. She was at the Fontainebleau Miami Beach, room 847. The reservation showed a luxury suite, charged to our credit card under her name alone. I landed in Miami late that night and went straight to the hotel. The driver talked. I didn't listen. My thoughts circled between hope and dread. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I would find her laughing with a friend and feel ashamed of my suspicion. But the messages I had read left little room for illusion. The elevator ride felt endless. When I reached the 8th floor, I stood outside room 847 for a long moment, listening to faint sounds from inside, deciding whether I was ready to see what truth looked like face to face. I knocked once, softly, then again, louder. Movement followed. A man's voice from inside. I got it. The door opened and there he was. Tall, confident, robe hanging open, champagne glass in hand. He looked at me like I was an interruption. Then recognition dawned and panic followed. Can I help you?" I didn't answer. I just stared. From inside the suite, her voice called out again, familiar and intimate. "Babe, who is it?" "Babe." The man's face drained of color. I didn't wait. I pushed past him into the suite. The room was a fantasy. Rose petals scattered across the floor, candles flickering on every surface, a bottle of champagne on ice, 2 glasses, and in the bedroom doorway, wrapped in a hotel robe, hair wet, face flushed, Vanessa. She froze when she saw me. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. The roses I'd been holding slipped from my hand and hit the marble floor with a soft thud. "Marcus," she whispered. I looked at her, then at him, then back at her. "Happy anniversary," I said. For a moment, nobody moved. Vanessa's eyes darted between me and the man. Her brain was trying to catch up, trying to find an explanation that would make this okay. There wasn't one. "Marcus, I said quietly. She stepped forward. "This isn't what it looks like." I laughed, actually laughed. "It's not because it looks like you're in a hotel suite with another man on our anniversary. I can explain." "Explain what?" I cut her off. "The rose petals, the candles, the fact that he just called you babe?" The man, whoever he was, finally found his voice. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married." I turned to him. "Shut up." He did. I looked back at Vanessa. "How long, Marcus? How long?" She swallowed. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of work trips and girls' weekends, and coming home to kiss me like nothing was wrong. "Who is he?" I asked. She hesitated. "Who is he?" "His name is Jordan," she said quietly. He's a client."
A client, of course. And Rachel, I asked, is she even here? Vanessa looked at the floor. No. So you lied about everything. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want to hurt me. My voice rose. You've been blanking another man for 6 months and you didn't want to hurt me? Jordan shifted uncomfortably. Maybe you should stay right there, I said, voice cold, because we're not done. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots I'd taken of her messages, held the screen up so she could see. I know about the texts. I know about the other trips. I know you've been planning this for months. Her face went white. I was gonna ask you about it, give you a chance to come clean, but then I thought, why? I pocketed the phone. Why give you the chance to lie to my face again? Vanessa's hands were shaking. Marcus, please, we can work through this. Work through this? I repeated. Vanessa, you chose him over me. You chose a hotel suite in Miami over our anniversary. You chose to lie, to sneak around, to make me feel crazy for even suspecting. I stepped closer. There's nothing to work through. We're done. You don't mean that. I do. She started crying. Marcus, I love you. No, I said firmly. You don't, because if you loved me, you wouldn't be here. Jordan cleared his throat. Look, man, I'm sorry. I really didn't know. Didn't know what? I turned to him. That she was married, or that you were the reason? He stammered. She said she was separated. She lied, I said flatly. She's good at that. I looked at Vanessa. Tell him the truth. Tell him we live together. Tell him I made you breakfast this morning before you left. She didn't answer. Jordan's face changed. Wait, you're still living together? We share a bed, I added. We share a life. Or we did until tonight. Jordan looked at Vanessa like he was seeing her for the first time. You told me she lied to you, too. Welcome to the club. I turned back to Vanessa. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Chicago. And when I get there, I'm calling a lawyer. Marcus, wait! I'm taking screenshots of everything. The messages, the hotel reservation, the credit card charges, all of it. Her eyes widened. You can't. I can, and I will. I grabbed my bag. Enjoy your weekend, both of you. I walked toward the door. Behind me, Vanessa sobbed. Marcus, please don't do this. I stopped, turned. You did this, I said quietly. Not me. And I walked out. I made it to the elevator before the adrenaline wore off. My hands were shaking. My chest was tight. My vision blurred. I leaned against the wall and tried to breathe. 13 years gone in one hotel room, in one moment. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. I stepped inside. And as the doors closed, I realized something. I wasn't broken. I was angry. I didn't go back to Chicago that night. Instead, I checked into a different hotel, a Marriott a few blocks away. I sat on the bed, opened my laptop, and started documenting everything. Screenshots of the messages, photos of the hotel reservation, credit card statements showing charges I didn't recognize. I created a folder, labeled it Evidence. Then I did something I should have done months ago. I called a lawyer. His name was David Klein, divorce attorney, came highly recommended. I explained the situation. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "Do you have proof? Screenshots, photos, credit card statements? I can get more if I need to." Good. Illinois is a no-fault state, but evidence of infidelity can still impact asset division and alimony. She makes more than me, I said. She's the higher earner. Even better, that works in your favor. He paused. Marcus, I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to get ugly. She's going to fight. She's going to try to spin this. Are you ready for that? I thought about the hotel room, the rose petals, the man in the robe. Yeah, I said. I'm ready. I flew back to Chicago the next morning. Vanessa's flight wasn't until Sunday. I had the condo to myself. I moved methodically. First, I changed the locks. Legally, I couldn't keep her out. It was joint property, but I could make a point. Second, I opened a new bank account, transferred half of our joint savings, my half. Third, I canceled the credit cards in my name. Fourth, I packed her things. Not everything, just enough to make it clear. By the time she got home, there would be no ambiguity. We were done. Sunday night, I heard her key in the lock. It didn't work. She tried again, then knocked. "Marcus? Marcus, open the door." I didn't move. She knocked louder. "Marcus, I know you're in there. Please, we need to talk." I walked to the door, didn't open it. "Your things are in the storage unit downstairs. Unit 12, code is 4739. "Marcus." "Yeah," I said. "I do." I walked away from the door. She knocked a few more times, then stopped. I heard her footsteps fade down the hall, and I sat on the couch in the condo we'd shared for 8 years and felt nothing. The next morning, she was served at work. I know because David called me. "She's been served. Her attorney will reach out within 48 hours. "Good. Marcus, one more thing. She's going to try to negotiate. She's going to want to settle quickly, quietly. Don't let her." "Why?" "Because she's hiding something. I can feel it, and we need to find out what." He was right. 2 days later, her attorney called, offered a settlement, 50-50 split, no alimony, clean break. It sounded reasonable. David said no. "We're going to discovery," he told them. "Full financial disclosure. Bank records, credit cards, employment records, everything." Vanessa's attorney pushed back. "That's unnecessary. My client is being more than fair." "Your client committed adultery and used marital funds to finance it," David interrupted. "We're going to discovery. If you want to settle, we can talk after we see the records." They hung up. David turned to me. "Now we wait." Discovery took 6 weeks, and what we found was illuminating. Vanessa hadn't just been unfaithful, she'd been stealing. Over the last year, she'd funneled $47,000 from our joint accounts into a separate account I didn't know existed. Small transfers, 500 here, 1,000 there, never enough to raise red flags, but over time, it added up. She'd been planning her exit, building a nest egg, preparing to leave. The affair wasn't a mistake, it was part of the plan. David filed an amended petition. We weren't just asking for a divorce, we were asking for restitution, for the money she'd stolen, for the emotional distress, for everything. Vanessa's attorney called within 24 hours. "We need to talk." The settlement meeting was tense. Vanessa sat across from me, eyes red, hands folded. She looked smaller than I remembered. Her attorney laid out a new offer. She'd return the $47,000. She'd waive alimony. She'd take her car, her retirement account, and walk away. I'd keep the condo, my retirement, my car. Clean break. David looked at me. "It's a good offer." I looked at Vanessa. "Why'd you do it?" She didn't answer at first. Then quietly, "I felt trapped." "Trapped? You're a good man, Marcus. You're stable, you're kind. But I felt stuck, like my life was just happening, and I wanted more. So you cheated." "I made a mistake. You made a choice," I corrected. "Every text, every trip, every lie, those were choices." She looked down. "I know. And now you have to live with them." I signed the settlement, not because I forgave her, because I was done. The divorce was finalized 30 days later. I kept the condo, kept my job, kept my life. Vanessa moved to Miami. Last I heard, she and Jordan didn't last. Turns out, relationships built on lies don't have strong foundations. 6 months later, I was sitting in my condo, when I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Jordan. Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long time. Then I blocked the number. Some conversations aren't worth having. A year after the divorce, I met someone new. Her name is Claire. She's a teacher. She's kind. She's honest. She doesn't know the whole story. Not yet. But when I'm ready to tell her, I will. Because I learned something in that hotel room in Miami. Love isn't about grand gestures or perfect moments. It's about showing up, being honest, choosing each other every day. Vanessa stopped choosing me long before I knocked on that door. And I'm done chasing people who've already left. If you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever had your trust shattered, if you've ever stood in a hotel hallway wondering if you're strong enough to walk away, you are. You're stronger than you think, and you deserve someone who chooses you every single day. Hit subscribe if this story hit home. Comment, "I choose me," if you've ever had to walk away from someone who stopped choosing you. Because the best revenge isn't making them regret losing you. It's building a life so good you forget they were ever in.